Hello, everybody. So can you hear me, Jessica?
Again, can you
Oh,
hear me?
I can hear you. Okay, good.
Yay!
All right. Hi, everybody out there in Facebook land. I totally appreciate you joining us tonight. We are going to be talking about how to turn breakdowns into breakthroughs. One of the major issues in relationships, and I have been coaching couples for over 25 years. In fact, I just 2 minutes ago got off a call with a couple, and it was all about conflict resolution. So it's about learning this skill is the key to keeping relationships going over a long period of time. Conflict resolution is not normally the skill you need in the first week or two. Hopefully there's a lot of attraction and connection and communication and intimacy. But after that, conflict resolution is a key to making a relationship work long term. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, introduce myself, and then I'm going to introduce Jessica, or have Jessica introduce herself. So I'm Paul Sterling. I am the author of Argue Less, Love More. I am a relationship and intimacy coach, and I started this journey more than 30 years ago when I got trained by a guy named Tony Robbins. I started on his staff and then worked for him, and he was a mentor, and I can look at my life before Tony Robbins and after Tony Robbins. And there are several other people like that. Marshall Rosenberg, the creator of nonviolent communication, and Byron Katie. I've got to train with some amazing mentors. And so in life, if you want to grow quickly, find a mentor, get coached, grow. All right, so tonight, this is sponsored by me, ArgueLessLoveMore.net, and Scott Katamas from Love Coach Academy, and Debbie G from Spirituality Gone Wild. And we do a training every morning at 9 a.m. West Coast time, 6 p.m. West Coast time in the evening. And they're very different things. I focus on couples, but we do trainings for couples, singles, roommates, parents, people in recovery, people who want to stay connected and compassionately connected to each other. So that's my story. Jessica, talk to us. How did you get on this journey?
Which journey?
Well, to be here tonight, to be someone who teaches about relationship skills, who's interested in relationship skills.
Yes, it's actually really beautiful right now. I'm focusing on my conscious dating major, and I'm in a conscious dating dynamic, and I've realized I've never dated before. I've just dove into relationships and commitments, and and had a series of them. And my last long-term, not to say deep relationship, but my last long-term relationship ended 2 years ago. So that was the domino moment where I chose myself over the relationship, and that changed my entire life and set me on a path to explore plant medicine and sacred sexuality, and get my certification as a coach, and then also diving in and doing my own deep immersion work. So I consider myself a mystic in a way, of like finding my own experiences, and all the people that have come along the way. So now I'm in a place where I'm dating somebody, and I'm a fish out of water, totally. So it's great. It's a great time.
You actually brought up something, and I want to dive in and ask you more questions, but you brought up an underlying question that is true in almost every relationship, but most people don't know they're asking it. And that question is, can I be me and still be in a relationship with you?
Yes.
And if I can't, which one do I choose? Do I choose myself?
Yeah.
Do I and give up the relationship, or do I give up myself and stay in the relationship? And a lot of people have been taught to, no, you give up yourself and you keep your commitment to your relationship. And it sounds like you chose differently. You chose, like, this relationship with me, I'm going to make more important than staying in a relationship that's not meeting my needs.
Yes, and that was a catalyst relationship. I have a lot of, it's taken me a couple of years to reach a place of gratitude and acceptance for it. It was we were both willing to do the work, but we didn't have the tools to do the work. We didn't know what that looked like. And there was a lot of resistance and a lot of pain. And so we were just constant triggers for each other. He was the TNT and I was the match. And it was just one of those things where, he blamed me for setting him off. And I, saw his rage and, shut down my own rage to, pacify and not be able to speak my needs. And I mean, it was just it reached a point of toxicity and unhealthiness that it really came to like live or die. Am I going to kill this relationship to live, or am I going to lose myself for something that is already on its way of dying? It was such a really deep wounding place, but that was from there sprang forth my own personal healing journey, which now has brought me to be on a place to support others with where they're at in their life. But it took a lot of courage, because he was so sure I was the one. He was so sure I was the one that he was meant to marry. And there were these signals, like 3 months in, I spoke my truth and said, when I was thinking of the man of that would be a really great partner for me, he wasn't what I had in mind. And I could have held on to that and let the relationship go, but then we both tried to make it work for what, when deep down I knew it wasn't a good match, but it served its purpose. And, we're both better people for it.
Yeah, and one of the things you brought up there, because the title of this course is turning breakdown, or this Facebook Live, turning breakdowns into breakthroughs. And that's actually what it sounded like happened maybe in a bigger space than a typical conflict, but you took a breakdown in the relationship and had a breakthrough in your life.
I did. Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, how do we do that how do we compress that within a relationship? Or sometimes you got to get out of it. I'm not advocating either way right now, but I want to give some people tools that they can use on a daily basis, because right now people are in this, with COVID going on, they're stuck at houses with each other and things are escalating a lot.
Oh yeah, it's all coming up, man. It's all coming up. And like for me, the guy I'm dating, he's 2,500 miles away, so then there's the, wanting to connect and wanting to be there in person. And then, the whole pursuant energy and, it's just so multi-layered and thank God he's done the work, because he can hold it. And then I'm going through my motions. But what's really interesting, Paul, is that a year ago, I watched this awesome video from Layla Martin about conscious men in dating. And I saw it and I was like, this is the kind of man I want to attract into my life. Who do I need to rise to be to attract that kind of man? What kind of work do I need to do in myself to bring that in? And it was a conscious man who was really in his groundedness and in his primalness, and then also really heart connected. And it was just, it like made me swoon. And I was like, okay, who am I? Who do I need to rise to be, and the work I need to do on myself to get there? And that's what I've attracted in. And now I get to do the work. So I can choose to do the conscious work with him to set each other free. So here we are.
So what I want to do, let's see, I'm learning how to use my machine here. And oh, there it is. I've got stuff in the background. There we go. All right. What I want to say is that the way you describe this is going to tie into how I talk about this. I'm going to get a banner off from behind. I'm somewhat of a beginner at this. All right, here we go. There's two ways of looking at relationships. One is happily ever after. And so in the happily ever after model, you do all your work on yourself, you find the person of your dreams, and then the work is over. And then we live happily ever after. And then the other one is a hero's journey, and looking at love and intimacy as a hero's journey. And so when you actually get in the relationship, that's when the work begins. So I just wanted to flash that up there. The way you described it is relationships more as a hero's journey, so that when you get in the relationship, that's where all of the stuff comes up that you haven't dealt with yet, and you find somebody that's worth going through it with. So,
Oh, Paul, I laugh because I love you in this moment so much, because I am such a huge advocate and proponent and champion for the hero's journey. And I have pages and pages and pages of that about how to apply that in life. And so for you to reflect it to me that now I'm on my hero's journey in a relationship, I'm like, okay, now I got it. Thank you. This is now I know. I accept the challenge. I'm willing to step in. Like, let's do this. So it's just, that brings me a lot of joy. That's a beautiful, beautiful frame for me. So thank you.
you're welcome. And so what we're talking about here is how do you create breakthroughs out of breakdowns? What creates conflict? Because I think you just said somewhere that you just had gone through a conflict, and I want to describe what a conflict is, and so that people have a reference for it. And I want to describe also what it takes to create a ongoing, remarkable relationship. So this is the definition of it to me, having studied this thing for a long time. But what makes a relationship remarkable and keeps it growing is a state of gratitude on a regular basis. And what makes it suck is when we take each other for granted. And this is an active muscle. Like in the beginning of a relationship, easy to do. They call you up or they send you a text, and it's like, oh my God, they texted me. My day is done. It's totally win. So at the beginning, easy to win, hard to lose. And when you find a remarkable relationship where 30 years later, they're still loving each other, they're grateful for each other. It's easy to win and hard to lose. You want to make a relationship suck, you take each other for granted, and it becomes easy to lose and hard to win. And so I'm going to bounce out of that for a second and back to just seeing us. And I want to describe what conflict is to me, because there's a lot of people dealing with conflict. And I want to hear, Jessica, your opinion on conflict too.
Yeah.
This is something that's critical to the way I was taught by Tony Robbins and by Marshall Rosenberg and by other people, but it aligns with my beliefs. There's one reason to be in a relationship. The reason to be in a relationship is to get your needs met. This is not a narcissistic thing. This is actually a reality, because what happens to a relationship when you stop getting your needs met, the relationship starts to die. Now, I also want my partner to get their needs met. So it's not like all about me, it's about us. And one of my beautiful needs, and there's a top 10 that I teach people. That's like the training wheels, 10. But one of our needs is to contribute to our partner. And so the idea is to understand our needs and our partner's needs. And what conflict is, so internal conflict is when I have two sets of needs and I don't know how to get both of them met. So I have this internal conflict. So I might have a need for connection and intimacy with another person, and I might have a need for authenticity and freedom. And I'm going, oh my God, how do I meet my need for connection and for authenticity and freedom? I might find, being with someone who's really strong and a leader and a decision maker, God, that's sexy. And I need to have a voice too. I need to so conflict internally is when I don't see how to get two or more of my needs met. Conflict externally is when my partner may have a different need than I do, and we're in battle over whose needs are a priority right now. So it's good to know what needs are and be able to talk about them. And because we have a culture of need shame, like you shouldn't have
Yes.
needs because then you're needy. So what's your take on all of this conversation?
So juicy, Paul, so juicy and so alive for me right now in my current dynamic because, because I have come to the understanding that I have anxious attachment and that
Say that again, which attachment? Oh, anxious attachment.
anxious,
Okay.
yes, and that I also have a story that I attract and choose unavailable men. And then I read David Data's work and John Wineland's, and I appreciate them greatly. And it's men seek freedom above everything, and women seek love. And neither of them can ever get enough. And so to me, that puts me in the spiral. And when I was with you a few days ago on the call, and you mentioned how the pursuant doesn't their nervous system doesn't regulate until they're reconnected again. So for me to be honoring this man that I'm dating and giving him space and giving him space and giving him space. So he's feeling awesome. He's like regulating, he's happy. And in myself, I am dying. I'm in so much pain and I'm doing what I can to hold it and not make him wrong for it and take care of myself. And also knowing how deeply I feel good when we're connected. And so, and maybe there's a reframe for me to think that this is one way to connect and that there can be a way to connect where we aren't face to face, where we aren't face to face or something like that.
So wait, let me,
But
I
yeah,
want to keep everybody up with us because at some levels we're talking in code.
yes,
Because it's like there's the language of the doctors and the language of the patients and the language of people who are relationship coaches. So what you're talking about, I want to break down and back up that this is a huge area of conflict for people. So there's something called the attachment theory,
yeah,
and it's how do we deal, this is a simplification of it, but one of the things it talks about is how do we deal with stress. So when we're in conflict or stress, one of the choices is the pursuant, and the other one is the avoidant. So what, or the anxious is, there are different words for it, but the pursuant, if I'm in a conflict, if I got in a conflict with Jessica and she is the avoidant and I am the pursuant, my nervous system wouldn't calm down again until we were back in harmony, until the fight was over, until we were back like a line, till we hugged again, went, oh, honey, I'm sorry, like back in line. But so do you want to describe what the avoidant does so that we can get both of us in here?
well, my interpretation of it, I don't know if it's accurate, but my interpretation of the avoidant is one who pulls away and retreats into their space, to aloneness, um, to stillness. That which actually that's kind of cross wires. So I'm crossing wires between David Data, which is men. The highest value for a man is um, aloneness and stillness and quiet. And then the pursuant or the avoidant to me is someone who retracts, retreats, pulls away to get clarity, space, whatever it is. So to me, it's space.
What is when people are in conflict, both nervous systems tend to get agitated, the
Right.
pursuant and the avoidant. So the pursuant, to calm the nervous system down, has to calm down the relationship. The avoidant, what's going on is for a lot of times for the avoidant is they can't be focused externally and internally at the same time. So to calm down their nervous system, they get rid of a lot of external stimulus, especially the trigger for the upset, and go to their cave. I might go, and I've been both. So I've been both. I'm whatever, bi-dysfunctional, however you want to call it. I've been avoidant and I've been pursuant. And
Sure.
when the avoidant part of me kicks in, like I'm not feeling resourceful right now. And I'm afraid if I stay in communication with you, I'm going to make it worse. The conflict's going to escalate. So my way of taking care of me and taking care of you and taking care of us is to go for a bike ride, to go sit, to go like do something to calm my nervous system back. So when I come back, I'm not as triggered. Is that making sense?
Yeah, it's
Now,
delightful. It makes so much sense the way you describe it, but in the moment, it's just like, uh, where are
well,
you?
tell me
So
how that feels when. So here's the thing. There's a conflict. Your partner pulls away to go to their cave and to calm their nervous system down. As a pursuant, what happens to your nervous system?
I get very agitated, and it's very hard to stay calm. And there's this sense of on an edginess. And the thing is, though, Paul, is this comes up not even in conflict. This is just in relational work. So it's
Mhm.
not. I don't even know if it's trigger related or if it's just kind of more the stance of I like my time. That the man I'm dating is like I like to be in flow. I like to move. I like to go from inspired action. And, so, when I connect, it's because I'm a full yes. And, like, and that, and which I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And I'm like, and I have needs of connection. That's
Yeah.
important to me. So it's not even the conflict related. It's more beingness right now, I guess.
And we're getting some comments in there from people. Contribution isn't a need. The feeling that comes from contribution may be, however, what you want. Men seek freedom, women seek security. So there's different ideas. As far as I can tell, in the world that I was brought up in, contribution is one of our basic human needs. Um,
Mm,
there's
yeah.
there's a different set of needs. There's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is what are the
Hmm.
needs I need to survive as a human being. Then there's the
Hmm.
next set of needs. What do I need to create a amazing, remarkable relationship? And growth and contribution are needs of the spirit, human spirit. And for
Mm.
us to feel alive and awake as human beings, we need those needs. And here, I just want to say a little bit more because this is about breakdown to breakthrough and how do we deal with this? Because this situation that you're describing is super common that pursuance and avoidance get together. Now, I just want people to see the scenario and then we'll dive into more stuff. But the scenario is like, okay, if I'm the avoidant and I go calm my nervous system down, like, and I come back to the relationship, and the whole time I was away calming my nervous system down, it agitates my partner. And so I walk in really calm and they are freaking the fuck out. And I'm
This was
like,
last night.
hey, baby, give me a hug. It's like, rah.
That's exactly what happened last night. Exactly what happened last night, Paul. So funny.
So the important thing is
Yeah.
we're not going to give you a tip on how to fix an avoidant or fix a pursuant. You might have that pattern for the rest of your life. Um, what I am going to say is that if you recognize that, it's easier to be able to go like if I'm going to you and we've had an upset and I need space, I might say, I'm going to be gone for a half an hour. I still love you. I'm not ending the relationship. I'm not pulling away because the avoidant is worried about abandonment, about loss, about losing, and separation agitates that. So I might say, here's what I need. What can I do that would make you feel safe while I'm away?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's like aftercare almost. It's like having like here's a need I need to tend to, and how can I support you to make sure you feel cared for as well. And but yeah, last night was exactly what you said. We hadn't really connected in a little bit, and I've been churning and building and working on my stuff and doing everything I can, and he shows up relaxed, easy, so excited for us to build, and I was like, bam, and I just let it out. It was like this dam that I've been holding, and it was like this anger of like, I didn't see it as anger. I saw it as like, these are my needs. I'm not going to deny them anymore. This is what I want. This is what I stand for. Take it or leave it. This is what I'm calling in, and da, 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 da. And it like, and he just, and thank God for the conscious work he's done. He wasn't triggered by it, and he let it flow. And then he was like, I hear some anger from a closed heart. And I was like, ah, so it took a while to calm down. Yeah.
So there's three different ways that we can communicate. One is from our reptile brain, from our hurt.
Yeah.
And it's like when we're in a reptile brain, what we're worried about is, where's the enemy? All of that. Where's the enemy? How do I protect myself? What do I need for safety? So that's coming from our hurt. The next level up is coming from our heart. And when we're communicating from our heart, and there's two things: we can speak from our heart and we can listen from our heart. When I'm listening from my heart, I'm listening for what is your feelings? What are your emotions? What's important to you right now? What are you feeling? How do we connect? And then the third one, Mr. Bobblehead here, Einstein, is when we're communicating from our head. And that's about facts, logic, reason. We're trying to get who did what. No, I didn't do it at 4:30. I did it at 5 o'clock. And, we're arguing over the facts versus our feelings. And the important thing to understand is that these are two different languages. And if you want to enter somebody else's world, you need to be able to speak their language. You need to be able to enter their language. Enter their world and speak their language. So when somebody is really triggered and in their reptile brain, so Jessica, can you go back to your reptile brain for a minute when you were feeling hurt? And what I want to do is I want to give people a demonstration of the three different ways of responding. So, okay. Is this okay? Thumbs up or thumbs? Okay. So go for it.
Okay. I'm going for it. Yeah, I got this huge download today, and I know what it is that I want to bring into my life, and I know what kind of partner that is I'm trying to call in, and I'm recognizing that I have needs. I want to see you. I want to connect with you, and it kills me. It kills me that I don't get to connect with you and giving you the space that you think
Okay,
that you
so
need.
wait a second. I have needs too. So why are you like dumping your needs on me right now? And like, you haven't asked me about my needs.
Oh, I know your needs. Your needs are space, is flow. I've given you so
no,
much
you only
free
know
reign.
part of my needs. So
Oh.
I got to take a breath here. So people, so what I want people to look at in communication, it's either communication, and I'm going to bring up a slide here just to look at for a second while we're doing this. And if Jessica wasn't someone I already trusted could handle this, I wouldn't have done this. But what I want you to look at is your habits, patterns, and beliefs, your behavior. Does it support or sabotage the relationship? Does it cause somebody to lean in or lean out? Would it cause them to open up or shut down? So I want you to think about this in the big picture. So when I reacted to her reaction, did it open her up, cause her to lean in? Did she feel supported, or did it feel like sabotage, lean out, shut down? So I'm going to take that back off and come back to the two of us here. So this is what happens, though. Your pain triggered my pain, and like it was pain body battling pain body.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you another thing, and thank you for being so amazingly graceful at this. Okay, go for it. Take two.
Take two. All right. God damn it. I just want to connect with you. I need that. I want to feel your love, and I don't feel it. And I'm holding myself back. I'm so fucking tired of censoring myself and not telling you what I actually want and standing for my desires.
Well, I know what you want, and we're doing everything we could, and it's just not logical for you to feel what you're feeling right now. It's like, we're communicating it, so I don't get it. I don't understand why you're not feeling how much I care about you, and it's just not making any sense to me.
I would want to kill you right now in that moment.
So my question is, and ask yourselves this right now, does Jessica feel heard, understood, and valued? So in item one, my pain body battled her pain body, and we were arguing for whose needs are more important right now. In the second one, I'm trying to logicalize away her pain. And we do this with people all the time. It tends to be more of a masculine mind, because the masculine tends to think if the feminine comes in pain, it's either my fault or my responsibility. So the more that Jessica's in pain, the more trouble I'm in. So please stop being upset and angry right now, because you're making me really uncomfortable. The third one, and this, by the way, is you brought up earlier the concept of a conscious man. And most men, if you ask them, are you conscious? They're like, yeah, of course I'm conscious. But there's actually some distinctions around that are different. And it's like, one of the toughest skills you can have is the ability to be with somebody's anger, to be with somebody's upset, to be with somebody's pain. And the truth is, it's still my learning curve. Like I'm not saying I'm perfect at this. If my little dragon, my reptile brain is triggered, I have sometimes zero ability to be with my partner's pain. I have zero ability to be with my own pain at times. But so let's just do this. And go ahead, Jessica, and thank you for being so willing here.
I mean, anything I can do to help others through my own experience is good for everyone, Hate to have it just be lost. So, I need you. And I've been doing my best to honor your need for space. And I've been giving it and holding that space while doing my own work, and understanding that, yes, I have anxious attachment, and yes, I have story, and I desire to connect with you, and I want that so much, and I need that. And when I do not get to connect with you, it kills me. I feel it inside. And I'm learning until we reconnect again, that's when I come back into my own self and my own calm.
So let me just I'm what I want to be able to do is if we can chunk it down, I want to be there for each chunk, if that would be okay. I'll take as long as it takes to fully hear you. And if I hear it a chunk at a time, it's going to allow me to be present with you for each chunk. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I feel emotion come up. It's so beautiful.
Right. So thank you for that. And just so people hear this, is sometimes we think we say it 15 different ways, and we'll get in, and it's like, no, I want to just hear the first one. So I'm hearing that you're really trying to honor my need for space, and at the same point, honor your beautiful needs for connection and intimacy. And right now, maybe you're wanting to be appreciated or acknowledged, have your needs acknowledged. Yeah, tell me more. By the way, those are magic words. A lot of times women do not get to hear those words. Tell me more. Often they get to hear me, tell me less. So tell me more.
Mm. Um, I love the parts of me that come forth when I get to spend time with you and when we connect. I feel that
Ah,
those are the things that I feel really alive, that are I have better access to when we're connected, and when we're not. And I'm doing my best to access these things on my own, and do my work and do my check-ins,
so
and
let's,
I know.
uh, I'm just hearing that you really love how you show up in this relationship and who you are and who you
Yes,
can be. And
yes,
that's important to you.
yes,
And I'm seeing tears, and I'm guessing it's really important to be acknowledged and appreciated for just all these remarkable things you bring to a relationship.
yes.
And I'm really appreciating your willingness to go slow so I can be with each piece. Because I notice for myself, if I hear too much at once, I get overwhelmed and then I lose things. And I want to just value each part.
I understand.
So, for people who are listening, this is not the normal way people communicate. This is what Scott, my partner in all of this, Scott Thomas at Love Coach Academy, he teaches people. He is a master of the heart. I tend to be a little bit of a heart guy, and I am the master of the mind. So we combine our stuff and create this amazing tools. So, Jessica, I'm wondering what it was like for you in the three different incidences. You know, what came up for you when first when it was dragon for dragon?
Mm. Um, it was very reminiscent of my my last long-term relationship, where it's just like my needs or your needs, or who's more important, and you're not hearing me, you're not listening. And so it felt very like shut down. um I felt ashamed, like the like, oh, I'm wrong for having these needs, and how, how dare I say this when you've got your own thing, and now I'm the one that's inconsiderate
So
because I'm
hold
not
on
listening to
one
you.
second. I just want people connect to that. You know, it's like give a shout out. How many people can relate to that? Like I'm relating to it. You're speaking for me there, Jessica. You know, like all of the times when I felt shame about having a need and bad, stupid, and wrong. If I was a whole and complete person, I wouldn't have needs. So thank you for being that voice. Keep going.
Um, with Einstein bobblehead, I wanted to kill him. I felt like, you're not getting me, you're not trying to connect with me, you're not listening to me, you're not feeling me with your heart, you're trying to logicize something, which is, to me, feels like it's a way of not connecting with me. And I'm not interested in that.
Yeah. And then what was it like from the heart?
I mean, you saw my tears. It immediately actually calmed me down quite a bit, and I hope that the man I am dating watches this, because I love how you handled that, which was like, I'd like to hear one step at a time, and immediately by you expressing your care for it and being like, I do want to hear it all, and not to say he doesn't, because he is amazing, but I like
Right.
your technique of being like, oh, let's slow down and take a breath. and not take a breath as in like, hey, you need to calm down, which I've been told a lot, like, hey, you're being not in this dynamic, but like in the past, you're too emotional, calm down. And that just completely like takes me up another 10 notches, you know? So not in the sense you were non-verbally communicating with me to slow down through your tone, through your speed, through your, you know, and all of that. And it not being in a patronizing way, but in a way of like, I desire to connect with you. I desire to hear you. I'm not leaving you. I'm not shutting you down. Like, let's just, I want to hear everything you have to say one at a time. That like immediately took all my defenses down. And that is where I could feel from an open heart. So thank you. That
Yeah.
was really, 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 really one of the most powerful things I felt. So thank you.
And the thing about that, thank you, is that first I had to take care of myself. Like if I wasn't enjoying the listening process, then it would be hard. Then I'd be in a rush to like, okay, can you just get to the point? Can you like, I'm, but it's like, if I slow it down, if I take it a chunk at a time, then I can keep the connection and then it feels good. And I'm taking care of both of us then. If I don't take care of myself first, though, it's hard to take care of the relationship, the connection. And then I just am like, hey, come on, let's get done with all this emotional stuff so we can go do something else. So, what are you getting from all of this? So I just want to check in with you again.
With me?
Yeah.
It is such a gift, Paul. You are such a gift. And for me to be in this moment right now where I'm doing so much of my inner work. And I think there's the inner work, but then there's the inner relating. And the relating part, as amazing as I am as a communicator, when you mentioned grateful and granted, you know, the difference between being grateful and taking someone for granted. And there's so many times where I'm in a conversation with this man and it's my vulnerability. I'm showing up. And when he gives something back, my initial response is like, no. And then I need to go back and then like I sit with it and then I process it. And every time I come back up, I'm like, holy shit, this man is so amazing how he can hold things even though I can't see it yet. And
Right.
so he holds the mirror, he shows me, and he's like, go have fun doing your work now. And like, you know, and then I go do my work and I'm like, God damn, why can't he hold me? And he's like, that's not relationships. You know, it's we show each other our work and then we go and do the work. We don't bring it between us to do. So that's a whole new process. And I'm like, you know, I'm learning as fast and hard and deep as I can. And this is important stuff, really.
You said something. I want to back up. You said that, and thank you. You said you were such a gift to me, but I want to actually rather. That's cool. And what I want people to do though is I want them to hear what was the gift, because it's not about me. The whole reason that we're doing this is that they can walk away with a tool. So what was it that happened for you that someone else could do for their partner that was the gift?
So there's presence, which we've talked about, and we can go over presence.
So say more about presence. What does that actually feel like? What does it look like? So
presence to me is you when I came to you with what I needed, you were 100% there. You know, there weren't any other distractions. You weren't checking your phone. There's this sense of like active listening, like you're leaning in with everything that you are to what I have to say and holding that presence. So to me that's what presence is. And I know that I do that for others because they're like, it's like the whole world doesn't exist. It's like all that matters is me, you know, as the person I'm talking to, and they feel that. So I understand when someone is bringing their presence and it's like their whole being, they're there. what the additional thing that you did that is something that I will really be encouraging my partner, this man I'm dating, to show up with, and is how you were able to intercept my emotion and hold it with love and slow it down in saying like tell me more, tell me, just like I want to take this one like you said, one bite, one nugget at a time. I want to really drink in how deeply each of these things has mattered to you, because you're right, there's like such a tremendous force of like everything, like here's why I've been holding back, and now I've got the crack. I could see it, it's there, I'm pushing through and I'm breaking the dam. And for you to instead being like, you know, for you to have been able to pause me, which was really great, instead of, because you could have let it all flow and let it all flow and let it all flow, which is what this man I'm dating is doing. He's just letting it flow. But and then it's like, you know, think he knows not to take it personally. He's done all of his work. He's grounding it in and waiting for that to empty. But you stopped me, and in a way that didn't make me feel unheard, but how much you actually so desire to take everything in and feel it deeply, and then move into the next piece. And so that is a very magical, powerful thing.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, because this is, of course, again, we're from the beginning, we were talking about how do you take breakdowns and turn them into breakthroughs. And when people feel fully heard, it can turn things around. And when conflict happens is when we have several needs that we're trying to get met that are battling with each other. And it's easier. Everybody out there watching, it is much easier for me to listen to Jessica and be empathetic than my own partner, because see, we're not in a relationship. We're friends. And when you're in a relationship with someone, that's the advanced skill. So it's a real stretch. So I have to really take care of myself, be really resourceful. I don't want people to set up and go, wow, it's so easy to do. It looks easy. It's like watching someone who plays the piano really well or something, or dances. They practice it. How you get really good at this is you spend hours practicing and doing the dance and making lots and lots and lots of mistakes. And when you think about it, every master started out as a disaster. And I have one divorce, 4 broken engagements. I definitely have the disaster card. And then I spent 25 years working on myself and looking towards mastery. Mastery is not a destination you show up at. It's a journey you go on. And the thing that most people don't understand is that they think it's still the happily ever after. What we started with, they think that if I just get in the right relationship with the right person, then I won't have conflicts. I won't have upsets. I won't have misunderstandings. And that's not true. It's like you get better at working through them. You find somebody that it's worth working through the process with. But mastery is, get yourself a mentor, follow a pathway. This is like right here and over here. Those are the 7 skills that I work with couples all the time. And almost every upset that anybody has is one of those 7 things. So it's really a chance to take on your relationship and master it. And I'm going to show you a link that you can come and get more information here in a second. But it's like, if you want to know what's important in your life, look at where you spend your time and where you spend your money and where you put your energy. Because a lot of times we say my relationship's important, but we don't invest any time and money and energy. And the only time that they invest money is like when going through the divorce or going through the upset. It's like, no, do it early on, like actually practice it. So there's a course coming up at arguelesslovemore.net/course. Heidi Love and I are teaching it. It's June 6th, and it's a deep dive into all of these tools. And this whole process, you look at Jessica's amazing mastery, it has happened because she has been working on herself. She didn't fall off the truck and land like on this level of compassion and courageousness and all that. It's been an ongoing journey. So another way that people can find out more is they can go to lovecoachacademy.com. There are coaches there if you want personal, private coaching, and find yourself a mentor. If you want to get there faster, follow a path, get a mentor, and then commit yourself to mastery. Is it worth it? Is it worth learning these tools? So just in closing, Jessica, how different is your relationships now than they were, I don't know, 5 years ago?
Oh, they're amazing. Amazing. And the path that I've been on is quite unique the last couple of years, and it's been continuously stepping into spaces of vulnerability and with courage. And a big tool that I've been playing with this man that I'm dating is trust and truth. So to speak the truth and then trust that they're going to be able to hold it, and then they're going to speak their truth and I can trust. And like there's just this, it's truth and trust that's really been the game. And also saying yes and trusting. So saying yes to this work and saying yes to this dynamic and trusting in it. And it's just so, it's such an enriching place. And I also think this is where we're being called to go,
Yeah.
is the conscious relationships. And it isn't about happily ever after. It is a hero's journey 100%. And to show up and say, yeah, I'm here to be your mirror and love you through it and practice love. That it's not oh, we're in love and that's it forever. It's like falling into love and being it and showing up in all these ways that have been really, really so challenging yet so open. And yeah, this is the work, and it's
Yeah,
worth it.
I wanted to add one thing for your truth and trust, and I think we've talked about it before, but there's two kinds of trust. One is trusting my partner. Do I trust that they're gonna respect my boundaries, meet my needs, or at least try to meet my needs? They're going to speak well for me, of me. They'll have my back. That is the common one that people banter about and talk about a lot. I think the more important one, though, is, do I trust myself in relationship to you, with whoever am I going to keep my boundaries? Am I going to respect my needs? Am I going to keep my agreements with myself? Or am I going to give up myself to be in a relationship with somebody else? So that is a more challenging one. And that's one that, just like sometimes just having this distinction changes the whole conversation. So I'm going to just let me see if I can get one more. Yes. This is the last link, and you can find arguelesslovemore.net/support. If you're wanting to have a one-on-one personal, private coaching session with me, that's where you go. And we spend an hour to an hour and a half and really dig into the 7 core issues and tools. And we also talk about it's been behind me the whole time, your relationship operating system. And that's a deep dive into that. So, Jessica, thank you so much for your radiant personality and your wisdom and your heart that came through. I think people got a lot out of this live example, and it just showed in your eyes right on through. So any closing statement?
I actually do have a question for you. So as a woman, as a pursuant, and as a woman who's coming with anger and more from a place of hurt that's coming through as anger, that's from like a hurt. And maybe this can be another conversation, like another topic, but how can I show up with an open heart and share from the get-go, like being able to approach this, like I'm in pain and I'm holding this and I want to, I want to show up in love. That's my, rather than a closed heart and like just blasting, coming from an open heart.
Okay, so
Because I
that
think I know there's a lot of women who have that. I know I'm not alone in that. There's a lot
yeah,
of us women
no,
who
you
feel that.
brought up, like, here we go, right on the wounds and triggers. It's one of the 7 core areas that we talk about. I would love to do a different conversation about it, and I'm going to just tell you about the 3 P's. So we'll end on the 3 P's: clearing up the past, connecting, getting present, and creating possibilities for the future. So are you familiar with the term bioavailability, like with nutrients? Okay,
Oh yeah, yep.
so vitamins, stuff like that. How much of a vitamin you can absorb, like vitamin C or something, it's bioavailability. How much can you absorb? What I talk about is relationship availability. So how available are you in a relationship depends on how much of the past you've cleared up. How much of these wounds have you healed? And healing wounds starts by identifying them and feeling them. And it's important to kind of set it up in advance, not just when you're triggered. Like I broke my hand a couple of years ago going over the handlebar. If somebody tapped my hand, they'd get a crazy ass reaction and they'd be really surprised because it's disproportionate. So if we have a lot of wounds, women have been through so much. There's been abuse, rape, incest, family abuse. There's just like a lot of stuff. And so it's important to have conversations before they get triggered. And honey, can you hold me? Can you, like, here's how, let's work through this. Because part of what we're doing is there's many different relationship beliefs, but part of what we're doing is we're here to heal each other.
Yeah.
And we're here to hold, when you said a conscious man, what I think is, for me, the conscious masculine holds a sacred space, and it's not easy because sometimes there's rage and upset and disappointment and heartbreak. And it's like, oh, but the challenge is the masculine can only do one of 2 things. It's like either it can defend itself from you or he can lean in and be your hero. And it's this dance of how do we do this so it doesn't come out as an attack. So he's not like running away, but he's like, go and bring it, honey. I got you. I got you. Oh, there's rage there too. I got that. Come on. That all you got? Oh, there's disappointment and heartbreak.
Yeah.
So that seems to resonate with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm imagining that it resonates with a lot of women right now. And if men aren't taught how to deal with it, they go, oh, she's a crazy bitch or whatever. Like, look at her go, woo, versus like, oh my God, look at her power and the pain that she's been in. And let me lean in, let me hold her right now and help her feel connected. So it's a journey and it takes work. It takes courage. It's one of the most courageous things you'll ever do, is to be a conscious, compassionate, courageous lover. And courage is to come from the heart and to choose connection and be voluntarily vulnerable. So we've said a lot. Hopefully, we've touched your soul and given you some tools, those people who listen, how to turn breakdowns into breakthroughs. And this wasn't like a way to manipulate. It was a way to connect. And I entered Jessica's world and she felt, and I'm speaking for you here, but heard, understood, and valued. And that's what builds connection. And that's what people need right now, because people are in a lot of pain on this planet. And there's a lot of stress and challenge and change. So, thank you for being part of this call. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Scott Katamas, for the Love Coach Academy and being a stand, because Scott is a total stand for people having huge breakthroughs in life. And he teaches coaches how to coach. And Debbie, who is the queen of gratitude, Debbie G, Spirituality Gone Wild. So, and thank you, Jessica. And thank you to Jessica's beloved for being such a stand for her out there in the world. We appreciate it. Ciao, everybody.